Person in the city, though, that Ian Hoffman.
You did, yeah.
She's a freshman, and she's as good as, if not.
Hey, we are recording. $6:00. I got meatloaf at home.
Well, then, at 6 p.m., we'll call this regular village board meeting to order. If you'd all please join me in a moment of silence. And the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you take the roll?
Trustee Nice. Trustee Try.
Present.
Trustee Ferguson. Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Gerger.
Here.
Trustee Fletcher. Village President Kimsey.
Present. Any public announcements this evening?
Public comments.
Announcements.
Announcements.
Announcements. Les, this is you.
This is Les's one.
Okay,
He's just here to judge you.
okay. First of all, we'd like to get permission to put flags along Route 4 from May 26th to May 31st in honor of Memorial Day. Village doesn't have to do anything with it. I've already got a lady that's going to help me
That's awesome.
put them along the sidewalk, just along Route 4 for this year.
Can we go all around the park?
No,
Okay,
that's next year.
okay. We like to build up things.
Phase 2.
Okay.
Can we do
Yeah, you
that?
can make sure they can get them off on the right side of the sidewalks and
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be on the park side of the sidewalk, not on the.
correct.
Will they be taken down every evening?
No, we'll leave them up. There's.
Are they self-lit?
No, there's lighting along there.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have permission?
Yeah, we're good with it.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry. Did anybody object?
I like the idea.
Good idea.
Yeah, I got that one on my
The
own.
next request is to have a proclamation declaring May 26th to May 31st as Chatham honoring veterans. If that could be accomplished on this short notice, I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there for you to think about. And then I'll be putting an article in the paper encouraging our residents to fly the flag that weekend. We'd like to see the whole village flying the American flag. Then on May 27th, Scouts will be assisting in putting out over 400 flags on our cemeteries. Then on May 29th is Memorial Day ceremony at Veterans Memorial Park at 10 a.m. In case of rain, it'll be at the American Legion. Our special speaker this year is going to be Fritz Bitster. So he'll be good. Then on June the 3rd, we'll be having a joint color guard at the DAR Flower Garden that's on the southeast side of the park. They'll be dedicating that flower garden. And then on May the 26th, at the VFW, they'll be having musical bingo. So watch Facebook for that. I think that's all that I have.
You're busy.
Les, will you email me information about what you would like in your proclamation so that we can look and see?
Okay,
Jay's good at that.
I'm sorry.
Jay Hoffman is very good at writing those.
Okay.
Public comments on agenda topics. Hearing none, there is no old business. Huh? Oh,
At the Chatham Chamber Luncheon on Thursday, Jay Hoffman is going to be our guest speaker. So
We should have asked him at that point in time to draft a proclamation. Any public comments on agenda topics? Hearing none, there is no old business. I would like to go slightly out of order here, take a motion to put the consent agenda on the floor.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Try. Discussion regarding the warrants or the minutes. Hearing none, Mr. Clerk.
Trustee Try.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Brush up your Latin. All right. Now I will have a motion to adjourn sine die,
I'll make that
which
motion.
means we are ending one session of our sitting trustees.
Make that motion.
And another trustee Gerger has made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Charo. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we would like to welcome Judge Gigante to swear in our recently re-elected trustees.
Yay.
So they're currently not trustees, right?
For this brief 2-minute period,
30 seconds here. It's gonna-
Lock the
no
door.
longer have a quorum.
Raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Illinois. And that I will faithfully discharge. The duties of the office of village trustee. For the village of Chatham, Illinois. To the best of my ability.
We have, here, you guys,
Oh, you have papers.
You guys have to sign
Judge,
papers.
would you,
Thank you.
you get an autograph too,
Out of here fast.
so you're on the
He
bottom.
was running to
You
the
can
door.
tell when, you can tell who all has been
You know, we could have had
elected.
Pat
None of the
and
families show up.
Oh, I know.
Les stand
I told
in
everybody.
for
None of the
Tim
families show
and
up.
No.
John, and
Yeah, like,
So when I
got
got
all over
sworn
it
in,
tonight.
Mike and the boys gave it, there's like a big deal, and now I was
I
like.
think there's another Latin name. The Latin word
No, I
for
told
that
them.
is the
Nobody's here.
No one
I've
cares.
already seen it.
No one cares.
yeah,
Autograph.
yeah. See it.
Carl, you need to autograph.
Better ask
Top
the
one we
judge
need
for
back,
these on
the
that.
other one's yours.
Can I have a quill pen? I
Yeah.
want a feather.
No.
You can have a big
Oh,
pen.
here, big- This is better. and
I
this
don't
is
know.
better. Okay, this is better. I want a good pen.
Oh.
That's a great pen.
She asked for a feather and that was.
I asked for a quill pen.
Yeah,
But this is close.
There.
It's like
Feather.
We had
it's not
breakfast.
gonna
Oh,
work.
that's a feather. He gave me a
It doesn't
feather.
work now. It doesn't work now.
Right here, I'm just using
Do you
this
have
one.
another pen for me to use during the
There
meeting?
you go.
We had.
Oh, you broke the pen.
What'd you
Thank you
cut?
so much.
Memorize everything.
Thanks for the feather. I was. What
Yeah.
Is this for?
That was a great pen,
Did I
Dave.
get a certificate first
It's a
time?
lucky pen.
I don't remember getting that.
Okay. Now I would take a motion to, or I'll recall in the board meeting.
I'll make
With our
that motion.
Newly elected officials. Mr. Clerk, would you take a roll, please?
Trustee Try.
Present.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Ferguson.
President.
Trustee Gerger.
Here.
The other two aren't trustees?
I'm here.
Dave, Village President Kimsey.
Present.
I have a question. So are they vacant? They're vacant right now.
Oh, they're sworn in.
They're not.
Well, you're elected, but they're not sworn in, so they're technically not a trustee at this point.
They'll vote when they'll get sworn in.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying for legality reasons.
We're just gonna call them trustees.
just-
They're trustees.
Trustee elect.
They're trustees.
Yeah.
Man.
I was just curious.
Want me to appoint somebody else?
I volunteered Tim Nice and Fletcher.
Yeah.
So
Okay. New business, item 1, there's a resolution approving a special permit for a carnival. A motion to bring this to the floor.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Try. Discussion, the full extent of the application and insurance, you're all good.
Exciting. Exciting.
Anybody have any questions about anything? We're gonna have one food truck there and one beverage truck. They're standalone, self-sustaining,
Congratulations.
nobody builds electricity, water, nothing.
We're excited.
I'm glad you got all that worked out. I remember talking about it, and I'm glad you got it all worked out. Wasn't sure how it was gonna go.
Thank you.
Dates now, so the insurance was a little,
Uh-huh.
I had an insurance certificate that expired in the vehicle.
All right.
That's what they sent me. I said, I can't use that because the dates are.
Careful, Pat. You're going to talk yourself out of a vote. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Come to the carnival, bring the kids and the grandkids.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's non-alcoholic, right?
Well, you have to bring your own. No,
He'll,
it's no alcohol.
He'll hold court outside. He'll hold his press conference outside.
Or you didn't hear that.
Item number 2 is a resolution consenting to a reappointment to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. A motion to bring this to the floor.
I'll bring it.
Trustee Gerger's made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Ferguson. This is a reappointment of Terry Wood for another 4-year term. So Terry's a retired former officer that sits on our police commission. Further discussion?
For clarification, he's a current state police officer.
Oh, he's a current.
Yeah, he hasn't retired
I
yet.
thought he retired.
He's supposed to. He hasn't.
Retiree elect. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 3 is an ordinance approving a plat of vacation. A motion to bring this to the floor.
I'll motion that.
Trustee Trice made a motion. Second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Charo. Pat, give the explanation here.
I would love to explain this, okay? This is in Hawthorne Court, which is over by the new high school and right next to the new elementary school. The road that goes in there is Hawthorne Lane. When that subdivision was originally platted, it was platted as a private road and a condo association. Later, the developer came back to the administration at that time and asked them to take over control of the road. They put that to the board, and the board agreed to do that. When that plat was recorded, they recorded it with the whole front yard of both condos on each side and the road. So those people, the minute they walked out the front door, they were standing in village property. So that wasn't noticed until recently when Mr. Scrow decided that because when they platted it again, they did not give the folks on the east side backyards. So he decided to give some, or the people along the east side, I forget how many feet it is, but they created backyards for them. Took that off of his lot that he owned to the east. And then when we pointed out that the road thing was wrong, the county that acts as our plats and plans officer said if the village would have to give that road or that property on each side back to them. Through this document and your vote tonight, that will happen. And then everything hopefully is correct with this little subdivision.
So we're not voting for vacations.
I know.
That's what Carl
See,
asked.
I thought so too. Vacation.
Where's the vacation?
I thought it maybe a new subdivision called Vacation. I'm like,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of cool.
I have
Or
a
just a
drawing of it
vacation.
If anybody wants to read all the legal description.
Can we live in Vacation?
If you would like.
Yeah.
Do you have any further discussion or questions for Pat on what this is?
Or give them the
Nope.
land back.
Yep.
We're giving someone their front yard back.
15 feet on the west
people
side of the road and 20 feet over on the
Yeah.
east side.
What we're doing.
And no one
Yep.
feels slighted on the 15 and 20. I'm joking.
Well,
It's more than they had.
yeah. And the road is only 24 foot wide, so they don't allow parking on it. Because 2 cars can barely make it down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was not originally built to village standards,
Okay.
but it was accepted by the previous board and the previous administration.
Mr. Clerk, just take a roll.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Try.
Yes.
Item 4 is an ordinance accepting a bid for a ground storage tank generator installation. And a motion to bring this to the floor.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Ferguson. Total cost $160,575 to B&B Electric for the backup generator at the ground storage tank. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk.
Trustee Tribe.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Next village board meeting will be 6 p.m. on May the 23rd. Are there any public comments on other village business? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion.
Second?
Second by Trustee Tribe. All in favor?
Aye.
Board meeting stands adjourned.
All to order.
All right. Next up, committee of the whole, 6:15. I'll call this meeting to order. Clerk, are you ready to take the roll?
Yes. Trustee Tribe.
Here.
Trustee Ferguson.
Present.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Gerger.
Here.
Village President Kimsey.
Present.
Any public comments on agenda topics? Hearing none. Move to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to bring the consent agenda to the table?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Ferguson has made a
Second.
motion, seconded by Trustee Gerger. Any discussion? Hearing none. There is no old business, new business. We have this vote on the consent agenda.
All in favor?
The consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty. Sorry about that. There I go, rushing through things again. It's time for the CMT engineering update.
Good evening. A couple of items, a little bit of activity going on in the village here over the past month. We completed the bike path patching north of Plummer Boulevard, a couple of sections of concrete patching on areas where tree roots and or pavement failure had occurred in the past, so much smoother now. Completed the patching along Plummer Boulevard from Termagant to just east of North Park. That is complete. We did expend up to the upper limit on that project to get as much patching as possible with that contract, and went very smooth. Completed the bike path pavement in the park, so the new alignment changed to accommodate the additional parking, widening parking that the village crews did, and then overlay the portion in front of the concession stand all the way down to kind of where the waterway crossing is and the concrete pavement began. So that is complete. Let's see, you guys just voted on the backup generator, so took bids for that and recommended approval of the board on that project. Building demo. Met with the contractor last week, village staff, and they're waiting on IEPA permits for final building demo, and they anticipate about 2 weeks to do the work once they have that permit. So that's going to happen here in short notice. Received notification from IDOT today. MFT program as planned is approved, and we're going to move forward with that. In advance of that, the street crew did start going out to Spruce and started saw cutting some of the patching along Spruce. Next week we have a bid opening for concrete, which we need that because it's in excess of the $20,000 that we can award to sole source. So we'll be taking bids on that, awarding that, and then we can move forward with the patching activities there. But they're trying to get as much done in advance of that as possible. Did meet with village staff this morning, kind of go over some of the projects, things that we're talking about here tonight, and then also investigating a drainage issue off of Birchwood Court, off of Cottonwood, I guess with our somewhere between 6.5 and 10 inches of rain, whoever you ask. There was some flooding damage associated with that at the end of the cul-de-sac, where water built up in the cul-de-sac and then flooded out a garage. village crews today, in conjunction with Petersburg Plumbing and Heating, we're jetting out that sewer, so we took a look at that and offer some suggestions in terms of, where the blockage may be. We think it's a connection failure where concrete pipe met up with plastic pipe when all that was put in originally, so getting that taken care of here and working with village staff on that.
Jim, it was Cottonwood and what was the street?
Birchwood Court.
Birchwood Court.
Thanks.
And then with the patching on Plummer done, we're looking at the Rebuild Illinois funds that the village has had for quite some time. It's being allocated as MFT, so we're spending that as MFT funds. It's in the MFT account, but with the Rebuild Illinois funds, it has to be to a specific project approved by IDOT. For the past couple of months, we've had our documents into IDOT for the qualification of that. It's called a local agency functional overlay. So originally when the plan came out, it was just for new construction, and then it was relaxed a little bit to say, okay, you can do some maintenance projects, but they really wanted like a large amount of work to be done. So then they expanded it further to allow for this local agency functional overlay. So gets into that more of a maintenance type activity. So those documents have been at IDOT. As soon as we get the approval on that, we'll work with village staff to determine which portion of Plummer that we want to overlay. So we'll look at what the most severe needs are for that and pick the location where we're going to go Plummer Boulevard wide and $741,000. Other than that, that's what I have to report.
Do you have an anticipated start date on Gordon Drive?
Yes. So talked with village staff this morning, thought that we would wait on that until after school let out. Talked with the contractor this morning. They were going to start the 30th and move forward.
May 30th?
Yes. So by the time we meet here next month, it'll be done.
Question on that, building demo on the square,
Yes.
do you have, is it going to not interfere, but are we going to be dealing with that when we do the Memorial Day stuff?
We'll see what the, hopefully not, but
Okay.
we're going to see what the IEPA permits when they get those. So there may need to be some coordination, but it is their responsibility to, section off that whole block, protect it, signage, barricades, flagging, tape, to make sure that we probably don't want a whole bunch of open pits while we have a festival going on right next door. So.
Yeah, so just thought, yeah, and that's for the fair too, right? 'Cause when's the fair again? When did the fair? That we just approved?
Carnival.
Carnival.
It was
27th, right?
Yeah.
27th, right?
26th, 27th, and 28th.
Is that
That should
Memorial
be
Day
over.
weekend?
Okay, that's all the same weekend, okay.
That's what I read in that.
I mean, that would be pretty quick though to have them demolish it.
But it
that we were
is 2
talking-
weeks, though, they
it
can
is-
do it, they can
26th,
start it.
26th and 27th.
Yeah, it'll probably be about a week to demo out the buildings and haul all that off-site, and then about a week to restore the site. So at least that's what the contractor's telling us. So,
Okay.
once we get the final dates on that, we'll coordinate with the contractor, make sure that, probably not a great idea to do it at the same time, but I appreciate your concern on that.
All righty. Any other questions or
Question.
discussion?
The drainage pond off of Bill Bridge in Gordon, do we have anything to do with that? No.
No.
Well, they tore down the fence and
Yeah, they tore the
filled
fence.
it in.
I was just wondering, we never talked about it, at least I didn't. Yeah, I just was wondering.
Owner of the property is paying for the repairs to that and having that done.
I was just wondering, because it was a lot of work and,
Yeah,
of course, with all the rain, it was a pond again, but it was gonna, the trench.
It worked.
It definitely looked like it worked.
Yeah.
Again, I just was wondering if we had anything to do with that.
years ago, when that subdivision went in, they dug the pond too deep and hit groundwater.
Really?
And that's why water's been standing in that for 15, 20 years. The people around there complained about it constantly because of the mosquitoes, the smell and everything. So the Raves who own that property were kind enough to turn around and take care of that. And they hired, I think Terry Brown, a local guy, to do that. And it worked great. And as soon as it got to the point where it's at, another neighbor called and he was upset that we took away his fishing pond and that they had stocked the pond. And I was like,
But they should have asked permission to stock the pond that, yeah.
I'm not sure how it got in there because it was completely fenced.
Fenced off.
well, the fence was falling in.
Snow fence, the snow fence, yeah, and it looked a mess. Okay, I was just wondering.
So, yeah, actually, a lot of the fill dirt that they used for that, as Pat mentioned, Terry Brown was doing that. He's also wrapping up on Manor Hill 2 subdivision. We did a proof roll of the subgrade last week, and they're looking at getting in the rock base and putting in curb and gutter here shortly. So, seeing some completion on that. So I know, I think their plan was closer to the end of the month here in terms of getting the final plat forward for board approval.
Yeah.
It's received planning commission approval, but he wanted to get more of the improvements done, so he didn't have to bond as much or have a letter of credit as high for outstanding improvements.
Nice.
Tell them what you do when you proof roll, because that's still different than how we used to do everything.
Okay, so,
I've told the story, because you told me, and I've told the story many a time in Chatham in the last 8 months, so.
So the proof roll process, and it's, you know, we have scientific methods to test density of soil and rock. Basically, the process is you obtain a sample of the soil, you beat it into a mold, you basically compact it as much as you can, you measure the density of that, and then by standards, there's a certain amount of density that you try to achieve, 95, 98% of that density. Now, the problem is with that is when you test density, you can't test everywhere. You're testing one location as a sample location. So what we do with a proof roll is you compact the soil, you bring in a loaded semi, and then you drive the semi on the prepared dirt, okay? And you walk behind the semi and you look at the wheels. And as you're looking at the wheels, you're looking for a deflection of less than 1/10 of a foot. So you will see the ground kind of just go like that as it comes through. And anything less than 1/10 is good, okay? That passes. Now, if it goes over a utility crossing and it sinks, you have to dig that up, re-prepare it, or put rock in there until it passes. Or if there's an area that, you know, is soft or has held water, or they didn't get compaction because it was difficult to reach, then what they do is have to dig that up, recompact it until it passes. So we do that process until it passes, and what we do is a couple of passes with the semi on each lane and in the center to make sure that just about everywhere in the roadway is sufficiently compacted, okay? And can support that type of loading. After the soil is proof rolled, they bring in the rock. Then they bring in 6 inches of rock, they compact that. We bring a semi out again. We roll that. And now you have dirt that can support a semi. Now you're putting 6 inches of compacted rock on top of that can support a semi. And the reason to do the second one, because we know it works for the first one, but we do it for the second one because there could be a 6.5 to 10 inch rainfall in between that softens up the dirt below, you know, or they just didn't get the rock properly compacted. But we go through the whole process again. If there is a rainfall event before paving, we'll go through it again, just to make sure that that subgrade and compacted base course is suitable. So we have a dirt layer that can support a semi with only this much deflection. Then we have a rock layer on top of that that supports a semi with only that much deflection. Then we put 6 to 8 inches of pavement over the top of it. That should get you a pretty good road. So, in the past with the lime modified soils, what was happening is they'd bring in lime, mix it with the soil, it would form kind of a crust, kind of an in situ concrete, and it would look hard and support the paving equipment, and you would pave on that. do freeze thaw cycles, it would kind of break apart and then just go back to the black dirt that it was. So we've moved away from that. We've, a number of years ago, modified the ordinances to require, you know, a roof roll base, a rock base, and then the pavement. And we're seeing much better roads as a result of that. So, you know, it's a little bit more of a process now, but village benefits for the long-term benefit on that. But that's the process, not very scientific, and you know, just kind of behind the semi and watch the wheels and see what they do.
That's good to know. That way people see you do that. We actually know that you're actually doing something.
The intention is to avoid some of the issues, like, because Oak Brook was done primarily with that lime.
Oak Brook was done with the lime stabilized, and see, if you would have put a semi on the lime stabilized, it would have passed, because it would have been like concrete. But it was just the top crust that was holding that up, because it formed kind of a dirt cement consistency at the top, just enough to get the pavement on. Then you had the freeze thaw, or water would get into that, and it would degrade over the years. So when we dug up Oak Brook, removed the pavement, the soil was nice, fluffy, black. You could dig that out and sell it as Miracle Grow.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was that black topsoil. We've actually seen results of corn stubble and that stuff in the soil below as well.
Oh, wow.
So that is not happening these days.
That's amazing.
All
Not
right.
on my watch, at least. So, and that's one that we're, you know, we send, you know, we'll have inspectors from CMT look at it. I personally will do every proof roll. That's not anything I leave up to chance. I'm not trusting anyone else. Developer wants to do proof roll, I will be out there looking at the proof roll, because that is your last line of defense on a good roadway. When you go through and see any of the water main crossings or sewer crossings where sanitary or storm sewer, where if the trenches weren't compact, you know, you'll actually see it, you know, roll like that, and you'll just see it roll underneath the wheels. So if that's the case, take it out.
So they're waiting on the bonds. Do they realize that there's a pending bond law that will drastically change bonds for municipalities?
It'll be a letter of credit.
Okay. But those are becoming, it's currently they're trying to pass a new law that's going to greatly affect them.
Okay.
I would look into that.
Gotcha. So, yeah, they're, it should be fairly well complete by the end of this month. So that's what they're shooting for.
Hopefully Pritzker doesn't sign it before the end of the month.
All right. Anything further? Anything? Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Item 2 on the agenda is final plat and certificates for Manor Hill 2 and Plat 2.
Like Jim had just said, if you look up here, that's Manor Hill Plat 2. Manor Hill 2 Plat 1 is directly west of it. This is firstborn. 6 and 7 over here. Horseshoe shape comes in off of Manor Hill, our firstborn lane. The developer has, I think, all the utilities pretty much put in. I think they were starting to do the gas lines this week. And like Jim had said, they've got to put the roads in. But this has gone through the planning commission. They were happy with what they looked at here. They gave that unanimous vote, yes. So the next step would be for the board to vote for it. I would like to have it on the agenda for the last meeting in May. And then, like I said, the other thing that's required at the time is if any of the improvements that need to be done out there have to have a letter of credit to be able to cover that. So that was explained to the developers or engineer, and the developer also knows that. So I think that's why the plan is to try to get as much done and get it okayed by our engineer as well as their engineers before that happens.
So we need to move this over to the regular board.
Yes. Move the plat acceptance to the next meeting.
All right, I need a motion to move the plat acceptance to the next regular board meeting.
Make the motion.
Trustee Ferguson has made a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Try. Can I have a roll? And do we need a vote? Can I do all in favor? Voice vote?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So moved. We'll go to the next meeting. And we're ready for any discussion on this at all? No, okay. Let's move to the village manager update.
Jim gave you a lot of information of what's going on and what's we're planning. Since we've been having these engineer meetings every other Tuesday, a lot of work is getting done. A lot more planning, a lot more working together between departments. I'm glad, and I hope that continues going forward.
Shout out to the electrical department too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a special person to go out in that storm on Sunday while it's hailing the way that it was and try to put power lines back up.
Yeah.
And
Did an amazing job.
one of the things that did happen during that was with all the hail, we do have a nice list of vehicles that were damaged. We had one from the electric department and one from the Parks Department, and then Vern will talk about the ones in his police department here in a few minutes.
In a few minutes.
In a few minutes. Some of the other things that we've been doing is, the flooding that was down in West Park took all of the nice clay dirt that we had just put on the fields and washed it out into the outfield. So we've got to go back and when that dries out and try to get it back and put it back on there. And then a lot of the rock that was along the fence line at the dog park is all washed over to one side. So that park took some damage. And our South Park, that floodplain is so wide through there, it just came in and went all over the place. But
Went down surprisingly quick.
oh yeah, yeah. It drains, and that's when I kind of gave my report to Channel 20 the other day, and I
heard that.
mentioned
Good job.
the floodgates because that really causes a problem for us if they are late or slow on opening those floodgates, because all of our water runs through. There's 3 tributaries that run through town and dump into Lake Springfield, and when that's full, the stuff that runs into them can't go in there. So it just starts backing up, and that's when it starts widening out in the parks, and there isn't anything that we can do about it. They do a great job of taking care of that and warning the people downstream when they have to open those gates. So I'm not putting any criticism or anything on them, but it might help people explain why water backs up into our town. So,
Yeah, that generates a lot of questions
yeah.
and concerns.
Vern, you want to
Yeah,
talk
just real
about
quick.
your vehicles?
Yeah, just real quick. We have 18 vehicles. Unfortunately, during the hailstorm, 8 of them were damaged. We replaced 2 windshields so far, and the rest of the remaining 6 and the other 2 also sustained some type of hail damage. Unfortunately, most of them were the newer squads, but we did have a call with insurance today, and we're working through that part of the process. They hope to sign a claims adjuster probably here within the next couple of months. Hopefully, we'll be able to remedy that and get it fixed. So, unfortunately, it's got a lot of squad cars, a lot of dents and dings and everything else in it. So, Mother Nature.
And we have to do an investigation to see if any of our buildings have roof damage. So have a claims adjuster come and take a look at those. The other thing that we've been working on is preparing the budget for you. We've had meetings between departments, had meetings with Kayla. We've gone over stuff. We pretty much have the water, electric, all in place. We still got to do a little bit with the general fund for the streets and the parks, and we still need to talk to Vern, and I think those are all planned for tomorrow. And then once we get all that in place, then I'll start offering to 2 trustees can come in at a time, and either we'll have the department's heads there as well as Kayla and myself and try to answer any questions that you have. and kind of give you a guideline of where we're going and how we got there.
I always appreciate those discussions. It's helpful going in.
We're still hoping to aim for maybe getting the budget passed by the first meeting in June.
Alrighty.
That's a publication you have to put out.
Huh?
There's hearing notices you gotta put out.
Some ideas before.
Alrighty, anything further?
So did you guys have assessors go into the buildings, check out the roofs then?
We've had nobody complain that it's leaking in any of the buildings, but just to make sure that the few that have shingles weren't beat up too bad.
Because this concession stand out at,
That's one of our buildings.
yeah, so that one looks, I'm not sure if you saw that one, it looked pretty beat up.
No, I have not gone around and started doing that
I
yet.
would check it out.
We don't send Pat on roofs.
No.
Limber, he's limber. Those Nikes.
We have buckets. We can go up in buckets and look at them, but I don't know if I trust those guys to give me a ride in one of the buckets, but. Any other questions?
All right. Next item is public properties. I hear there's some information there.
Sure. Pat already talked about the storm damage at West Park. Good news, the bike trail repairs were completed south of Piper Glen, Plummer. We talked about that a little bit. The bike trail at Community Park was completed as well. I don't know about you guys, but again, I'm out there all the time with the kids, and parents are just loving it. They love the expansion. They love everything that's going on out there. So kudos to everyone involved. West Park baseball fields were also completed, but again, displaced clay, beautiful. Just in time for it to be completed. Yeah. And then again, the last bullet point is again, sporting leagues are in full swing: baseball, soccer, and flag football. So a lot of people outside, which is awesome for Chatham.
Using up all of the new parking spots.
All of our spots, everywhere, green and concrete. That's it.
Any questions? I thank you, Trustee Try. Utility oversight.
Nothing?
Nothing. Everybody's happy again. Any public comments on village business?
I have a public comment. I want to thank Joe Pritchett. Tonight's his last meeting for working with the
Oh, I think we have one more.
Oh, you got one more?
What?
Well, it could be your last afternoon. I overheard you guys talk.
It's fake news.
It's
Oh, well, next time we're gonna have a party. It's gonna be cupcakes, balloons.
Yeah, the Joe Pritchett.
To you left, Joe?
I was going to say something nice about it, but you guys were.
Well, you'll say something that's, next time, just come up with something written. We can all have something signed. We can make a poem. And if you don't show up, we're gonna announce it all right here. Okay.
Well, we would like to see.
Congratulations on your new job, yes. Oh,
That's off the record.
cat's out of the bag. All right. The next scheduled meeting is June 13th, 2023 for the Committee of the Whole. We have no reason to enter closed session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Trustee
Second.
Trice made a motion, seconded by Trustee Gerger. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This meeting is adjourned.
You like those? Joe Pritchett.
Okay.
Here's why your pen doesn't work. That one that needs to go back into.
I gotta say hi to my guest. I have one person to show. Brett totally forgot. Okay, all right.
There we go. Dave, can you put this back together?